First speaker, as I promised you, I will not make any introduction whatsoever. I would like to invite Ms. Otara to the podium to give the initial introduction. I don't think you need to have an introduction about herself. Thank you. You stand back a little bit. You're very tall.
Good evening, everyone. I have not had the pleasure of speaking to Sri Lanka's engineers before, and so I'm indeed honored for this opportunity, and I'm very thankful for it. I'm sure we will all agree that Sri Lanka is truly a unique and special island. Despite its relatively small size, Sri Lanka possesses a high level of biodiversity. Its varied climate and geographical location has resulted in a rich species diversity, believed to be the highest in Asia in terms of unit land area. We have over 90 species of mammal, including the famous elephant, leopard, and bear. Sri Lanka is home to 245 species of butterflies, with 23 or so of these being endemic to the island. There are over 80 snake species and close to 435 species of birds. 16% of the fauna and 23% of flowering plants in Sri Lanka are endemic, which means if they disappear from Sri Lanka, they disappear from our planet. That is the whole of planet Earth. Sri Lanka has been named as one of the world's 25 biodiversity hotspots, which actually is not a good thing. Because by a definition, a biodiversity hotspot is a biogeographic region that is both a significant reservoir of biodiversity and is threatened with destruction. The term biodiversity hotspot specifically refers to 25 biologically rich areas around the world that have lost at least 70% of their original habitat. Sri Lanka falls into this category, and it's really quite shocking and quite sad that we have lost over 70% of this rich natural heritage of ours. As a child, I used to travel around Sri Lanka a lot. My parents used to take me everywhere, all over the island. And, I was so fascinated by the great beauty of our landscape, the fauna, the flora, the waterfalls and everything that we see today, but was much richer before. And it has stayed through my life, in my heart, even today. In the last 2 years, I've started traveling extensively again. I was sadly unable to do much of it during my career with Odell, due to a busy lifestyle. But I started again recently, and sadly I see such a change and such great damage being done to our natural heritage all around the island. It was once an untouched natural wonderland full of green forests, gushing waterfalls, rivers and lakes, and beautiful, beautiful wildlife. With changing times due to rapid, unplanned economic growth, the balance between the natural world and us humans seem to have been broken. Human activities like large-scale development projects in ecologically rich areas are causing serious harm to natural ecosystems and our biodiversity. I've seen many areas where wildlife hardly has a home anymore. Where they used to thrive before, they really struggle to survive now. Other areas where there's poor management and they are under severe stress. So many mountains being destroyed, so many waterfalls and rivers disturbed with diversions and often very badly damaged. I have met and spoken to so many villagers in different areas to whom now which water was once so abundant is actually extremely scarce and more like a precious resource. They have to buy their water now, they have to, and they, even for a basic meal that they have to make, they have to stand in lines most days, like to collect the water every day. They have to travel far to get water, and in some cases they actually buy their water based on how much money they have, which means that how much they consume is really restricted. So you can imagine what that does to their health. I believe we are at a critical point of time in Sri Lanka where we have pushed the natural world too far for the sake of economic development, and now we're suffering the consequences. and that we can see in drought, food shortage, economic loss, and more. I'm sure we are all aware, and we hear it all the time about the drought that we're experiencing, and everyone says it's one of the worst droughts in history. 23 out of the 25 districts are in drought conditions, and some districts like Trincomalee, which I visited recently, have not received rainfall in over a year. Over 1 million Sri Lankans are impacted. Land cultivation is down about 60%. The top 5 rice-producing districts have only cultivated about 35% of the land. This will impact at least 30% of the population economically, as 30% depend on agriculture for their livelihood. Our reservoirs are at about 30% of their capacity, and I read 2 days ago that the hydropower has now been stopped. There are also several warnings being given to us that our drinking water may run out within a couple of months. While you and I may not experience it right now, it is real. The predictions are also very bleak, forecasting lack of enough rain to fill our water reservoirs. Yet we continue every day to destroy our forests, our rivers, our mountains, the elements that are absolutely necessary for our basic needs, like clean air and water. The recent rains we've received in the last 2 days hopefully will be some relief for the drought. Our forests are a key part of the water cycle, and we just simply must protect them to ensure our green cover is increased, and we have to make sure it's increased so that we receive adequate rain in the future. As well as it must protect our island from the threats of global warming and climate change, which are also very real in the world today, and it will impact us, and it already is. I believe we are at a tipping point. We have destroyed our natural world to such an extent and pushed the boundaries so far that we are now facing the consequences. We continue to do the same thing and travel the same path as we have done before today. Albert Einstein said that insanity was doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. We can no longer continue on the same path. We are at a different time in the world, and it requires a new way forward. The United Nations Economic Commission for Europe had these thoughts to offer. The concept of sustainable development supports strong economic and social development, in particular for people with a low standard of living. At the same time, it underlines the importance of protecting the natural resource base and the environment. Economic and social well-being cannot be improved with measures that destroy the environment. Intergenerational solidarity is also crucial. All development has to take into account its impact on the opportunities of future generations. You, our engineers, are the cornerstones of social and economic development. You are the powerful minds behind our development projects, and with great power comes great responsibility. We have reached a critical point where development can no longer continue at the risk of environmental devastation. And for this, we turn to you, our engineers of Sri Lanka, to understand the dire need for really true sustainable development. Development which meets the needs of current generations without compromising the needs of future generations. Nature doesn't need human beings, but we need nature to survive and to thrive. Nature will always continue without us. Especially in the island that we live in, nature is absolutely critical to keep a balance between our survival and the future. The time is now for a new way forward, and the time is now to protect our rich natural heritage before it's too late. Thank you.